Motzei Rosh Hashanah, Tafshin Ayin Zayin. The end of Rosh Hashanah, families are waiting in Bnei Brak. They finished Rosh Hashanah, and it's late at night, it's past midnight, and they're waiting for the bus to Yerushalayim. So they're in the streets with the kids, with the luggage, with the babies, they're crying, and the bus is not coming, and they don't know what to do. And they're waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally, this bus comes along. It just stops short. Stops a little bit behind the Tachana. So half of the people start running towards the bus and they try to, it's Israel, so they start knocking on the door, and the driver opens the door. He says, where are you going? They say, Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim. He says, I'm sorry, I'm going to Beit Shemesh. He said, Beit Shemesh, but there's nobody here, please take us to Yerushalayim. And they tried convincing him, and there's always the three guys that know how to convince, and they start talking to the driver, and the driver says, no, I can't, listen, it's my job, it's whatever. So there's a back and forth, there goes on for 5 minutes, until the driver closes the door. He says, I can't do it. And after 2 minutes, he opens the door, he says, you know what, you convinced me, I'll take you to Yerushalayim. I'll get in trouble, but it's going to be fine. Everybody goes up, and everybody starts giving him brachas, and telling him, thank you very much, and you know how you saved us. And they go up into the bus, and the bus starts driving with everybody to Yerushalayim. Everybody's so happy. And towards the entrance of Yerushalayim, so one of the people gets up to the driver, and he says, I have to ask him. So he goes up to him, he tells him, listen driver, I have a question, I know we're almost there, and you're not scared of your job, you're not scared of your boss, you're not scared of what they're going to do, they have GPS, they know what's going on, everybody, they're going to find out that you took us to Yerushalayim instead of Beit Shemesh. So the driver bursts out laughing, and this guy doesn't understand what happened. The driver says the following, listen, I was in my home right near Bnei Brak, and the boss sent a message, we're short of a bus, we need a bus to go to Yerushalayim. So I said that I can do this, but then I understood what the situation is, that everybody's going to be waiting, and the minute I pull up, everybody's going to start shouting at me. So I thought of this thing, I'm going to tell them I'm going to Beit Shemesh, and they're going to try to convince me, and at the end they're going to convince me, and I'm going to take them to Yerushalayim. So therefore everybody's going to be fine, everybody's going to be happy, and everybody's going to get bracha. Instead of giving me a cloud, they give me a brachas at the end. There's a lot to learn from this story. How human mind works, how we work, how the Yitzhara, how when something is unexpected at the end, something else happens. But I want to focus on one little thing, one little point. The fact that if the whole Beit Shemesh scam, the Beit Shemesh thing wouldn't have happened, it wouldn't have been the same. So we're Chodesh Tamuz. We're beginning this Chodesh that apparently is a Chodesh of destruction. I want to focus on another place of Tamuz. I want to explain what is Tamuz based on Rav Yitzchak Ginsburg. He brings a very nice idea. So the Sefer Yetzirah, a little bit of Kabbalah, doesn't hurt anybody, says that the letter of Chodesh Tamuz is letter Chet. What Chet? And the Chet, when you write it, it's very interesting how you write it. According to there's two different opinions. According to the Arizal, the Ashkenazim write it this way. You write a Vav, and then you write a Zayin, and then you make like a hat between the Vav and the Zayin. What does the Vav and the Zayin represent? So Chodesh Iyar, before Sivan, we had Sivan, Iyar, Sivan, and Tamuz. Chodesh Iyar was the letter that represents it as a Vav. Chodesh Sivan, the letter represents it, is a Zayin. What do they represent? The Vav is usually Vav HaChibur. It usually connects two things. And in Shem Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, it connects the higher Yud and the Hey with the lower Hey, with the Malchus. The Vav is also a numerical value of 6. That is why there's 6 spheres in Zeir Anpin, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. So those are the 6. That is a connection between the higher Chabad, the higher spheres, and the lower sphere, the Malchus. That is a Vav. Vav is Zeir Anpin, the 6 directions. That is Vav. In Yar, we're in the middle of Sfirat Omer. We start counting. We start bringing all these lights down to us. And then what happens in Sivan? In Sivan, we get the Torah. That is the Zayin. Why? The Zayin is numerical value of 7. That is the 7th sphere is Malchus. It's the last Hey. So after we bring down all these things, all these lights, we go up and we put a Keter on top of the Vav. A crown on top of the Vav. That is how you draw a Zayin. A Zayin is like a Vav with a little crown on top of it. So that is what the Zayin represents. The Vav represents Zeir Anpin. The Zayin represents the Malchus. the Malchus. Vav is going down, bringing down the lights, and Zayin is going up. So that's a whole Marechet Yachasim, a whole relation we have between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But that happens at the end in Shavuot when we go up the mountain. Moshe goes up, ve'ala el Elokim, he goes up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he receives the Torah. What does that have to do with Tammuz? Tammuz, we take the Chet, that is the Vav and the Zayin. We put a little crown on top of it. It's like a chuppah. There's a chuppah, and there's a Vav that is a Chasan, and there's a Zayin that is a Kala, and we get married. That is why the Chodesh of Tammuz, when you spell it out, it's Tam, Vav Zayin. It's the end of Vav Zayin. It's the end of the process. V'yom chatunato v'yom simchat libo. It's the end of it when the chuppah happens. That's the Chet. That is Tammuz, the end of the Vav and the Zayin, or the Shleimus of the Vav and the Zayin is Tam, also Yaakovish Tam. So therefore you have a whole complete process that ends in Tammuz. When does it end? Yud Zayin Tammuz. Yud Zayin Tammuz is the best date. Why? Because that is the date that Moshe comes down with the tablets, and it should have happened that we get the Torah, we receive the Torah, we're happy, Beit HaMikdash, everything, Geula. What happened? What just went wrong? Why is Yud Zayin Tammuz, instead of having Chet of Chaim and Chesed, we have Chet of Chorban, of Choshech, of bad things? So we all know the story of Yud Zayin Tammuz. There's a lot of things that happened the same day. And just to finish off the explanation, explaining it the way of Rav Hillel of Parich, he was from one of the big Chabad explainers of things, a big Rebbe in Chabad, big Mashpia. He explained it with the following mashal. A mashal is always stronger than the explanation. Why? Because you understand it a lot better. So there was a Rav and a Talmud, and the Rav teaches, and the Rav is very close to the Talmud is very close to the Rav. He receives a lot of Torah from him, and he's always sitting in front of him and receiving with thirst every word of Torah the Rav is giving. So this one time, the Rav is explaining, and in the middle of the shir, in the middle of the explanation that he's learning with him, he suddenly starts spacing out a little bit, the Rav. And his mind is not here anymore. And the Talmud is trying to understand what's going on. The Rav is already speaking, but thinking of something else. And slowly, the Rav starts being more and more out of it, and out of it, and out of it, until a certain point, he closes the book, he gets up, and he leaves. And the Talmud is dumbfounded. What's going on? What can I do? Where's the Rav? And he's waiting for him, and he's not coming, and he's heartbroken. He says, probably I did something wrong, or I did something, and he doesn't come for a day, he doesn't come for 2 days, he doesn't come for a week, for 2 weeks. At the end of the third week, the Rav suddenly appears, he comes back with a smile on his face. He says to the Talmud, Shalom Aleichem, and he sits down and he continues teaching, but this time teaching with in a lot stronger way. You can already hop into the mashal, into the nimshal, you can already understand who's the Rav and who's the Talmud, Hashem and Am Yisrael. But Rav Hillel of Parich continues the mashal. The Rav turns to the Talmud and he tells him, probably you're asking yourself why this happened, what happened to me, why did I get angry or something? I'll tell you what happened. I didn't get angry, you didn't do anything. I was sitting down and I was teaching you, and suddenly this huge chidush came into my mind. A chidush that erases all of the chidushim that were there before. Nothing compared to what I was teaching before. There's a very, very big thing that just came into my mind, but I didn't know how to process it myself. I didn't even know myself how to bring it into myself, into explanation that I could explain it to myself. So I was all the time thinking, and the more I thought of it, the more I understood that it was such a big chidush that everything else was completely non-existent. I had to bring this, but I couldn't explain it. So up to the point where I figured that I can't think of it anymore, I can't teach anymore. I closed the book, I went away, I went for some voididus. He wasn't Chabad, he was Chabad, but still, he went for some mitvoididus to talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu a little bit, to understand what the chidush was, hitbonenut also, understanding. And then, at the end of 3 weeks, suddenly everything made sense, and now I'm teaching you this chidushim, this new chidush. We usually see the destruction as a thing that we did something wrong, we're punished, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is angry at us and he brings us back. And why did all this happen? No reason whatsoever. Why did we have to wait for the bus, and why did everything happen? No reason whatsoever. But there is a reason. And what is the reason? The reason is that there is a lot of lights, a very, very big light coming down. And whenever HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to bring a new light, a new chidush, a new idea, a new something into this world, there has to be a process of destruction. Shrias HaKelim. We have to be destroyed. Something has to be destroyed. And then when that happens, when a snake sheds an old skin, it's very difficult. She sheds it at the end and then she gets a new skin. That's what happens with us. We go through this process that there has to be a destruction, and at the end of the destruction there's going to be a Geulah. There's going to be higher lights. It's interesting that Yud Zayin Tammuz is dafka the day that we should have, Moshe Rabbeinu was going down, we should have had something bigger, but what? Moshe Rabbeinu smashes the luchot, the tablets. What is the smashing of the tablets? It's Shbirat HaKelim Mamash. It also says that one of the things that happened in Yud Zayin Tammuz, Ubke'a Ayir, the Yerushalayim that had the wall, suddenly the wall got broken. The wall breaks. That is again the same essence of breaking the kelim in order to get newer lights. Or Butala Tamid. The Tamid was a constant korban that we were bringing to the Beit HaMikdash. Suddenly it stopped. Why? Because this constant thing, this Marechet Yachasim, this relation that we have, had to go to a higher level. That higher level is coming. That higher level in taking all the history of the whole world, of the whole everything, the history is coming to an end where we're going to get so big lights that we have to go through this process that we are going on right now, called galus, called destruction, called intifada, called terrorism, whatever it is. But we're going through a process that is only bringing the kelim, making them bigger so we can receive this light. And that happens also in the 3 weeks. So that is why at the end of the 3 weeks, after Tisha B'Av, there's Tu B'Av, there's a very big day. That's going to happen. Bezat Hashem. In the meantime, we're in Tammuz. We can focus on having this Tammuz as a chuppah after the Vav and the Zayin instead of having Choshech. We may be Zochet to Geulah. We are going to be Zochet to Geulah. Hopefully, B'mera b'yamenu. Amen. Ken Yeh Ratzon.